So, my final analysis of it, I think the final piece sounds very much like a Pierre Henry musique concrète sort of piece. It's very much like it's used the basic sort of during the late 40s, early 50s sort of basic techniques. There's basic techniques they've got of slowing things down and just tape based modulation. So slowing things down and the delay loops and bit of preverb and stuff like that. So it's very much leads itself to that, and I think a lot of the sounds that have come through are very much of a musique concrète style, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I like musique concrète, but does it fit the piece? I think the overall piece is alright. I'm not particularly happy with it. I think because a few reasons. I think the whole thing needs a musical composition over it, whether it's strings or some sort of synthesized pad, sort of depending the direction of the narrative, whether if it's a snapshot of if it's from a film, if it's leading up to this particular moment, and it's a snapshot of look at all this carnage, and it needs a bit of portraying it as devastating, then some sort of emphasising strings or synth pad or something like that sort of leads the viewer into sort of sad emotional type feelings. Or if it's from a perspective of there's inmates sitting in a prison saying, "Oh, you remember that time we robbed the bank and the gun shoot out with the police in the hospital? Yeah, I remember that. You kicked the bloke through the door, didn't you? Yeah." That sort of thing. It might be a bit more comical or a bit more light-hearted, but I still think it needs. Me personally, just looking at it, you think, "Well, look at this carnage." That's my initial thought of it. So it's more, I think, that's probably some sort of orchestral music over it, string-wise. But as it is, I'm torn between whether I should have added more in to emphasise more scenes of it. But then the more I kept adding in, the more I was going, I just feel it's too much. So there's that thing. But yeah, it is what it is now. I think it's there's some interesting sounds in there. I would have probably liked to have felt like I've done more for it, because I don't feel like I have, but I have spent a lot of time doing what I have. Odd. Yeah, so so I selected my storyboard. I selected like 15 scenes. I think I added sounds to about 9 of them, really. So I feel like I've not added enough in to it. But the more I started adding in, the more I just thought it was overcomplicating it, and just the sounds are there just to draw the viewer's attention to it, really. It's like you've got the underlying pad which just ties it together, and then it's a sort of, oh, look at that, look at this. Other than the explosion, I think you're moving through them, so that feels more like it's part of the scenery. But the clapper thing, just look at that, and the keys when near the glass where the bloke's being kicked through the glass sheet. That's more of a just look at it a bit more. Just emphasising that scene somewhat more. So there's part of me thinking I should have added more in, probably more to suit, because the project, as a project in general, may have required it, but then the other half of me is thinking that less is more. And I don't think it needs all these big or lots of complex and too many sounds to create a complicated image. because it's too much for it, I think. Favourite scene though has to be the close quarters with the cops and clowns. I think that was where the mind started working a bit more about what to do and what to create. But that all stemmed from experimentation. Just go in, once I'd put the radio next to the cop section, it started turning then. So it'd be nice if I had that thought before I actually did it. But that's how things come about. Experimentation is it. A lot of it is pure experimentation. Like the underlying bed. No idea how I was going to create how I was going to create it. Just really knew that it'd be something that'd be time stretched. But then it wasn't until you start time stretching a lot of things and you think, oh, it sounds very much like you're just drawing the individual sine tones out of it.